Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It is an honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me. Bunch of friends standing around a virtual water cooler, talking about our favorite things in the world, movies, and movie news. Now, you might notice this doesn't look like a new studio. Nope, we weren't ready yet. We've tried. We worked so hard to get the new studio ready to start today, but there was just too much to do. So we will not be in the new studio starting today. We will be in the new studio, absolutely guaranteed, on Monday. So 1 week from today, we will start the show in the new studio and have some changes coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to it. But this week, we're here in my studio, which is kind of cool. So listen, we got a whole bunch of things to talk about here, starting off with this. Do you guys remember a couple of years ago, Sony had the movie rights to Barbie, and they announced that they were going to do a Barbie movie with Amy Schumer a little while after that. They were going to do a Barbie movie with Amy Schumer as Barbie. And I'm going to tell you what, I was intrigued by the idea, and here's why. Because the notion of that Barbie movie was going to be Amy Schumer as Barbie is like living in this fairy tale fantasy doll land, but she's rejected and thrown out because she physically doesn't live up to the perceptions of perfection. And she's kicked out. And I'll be honest with you, when you really look at the history of Barbie and some of the discussions that have gone on around the character and sometimes the unrealistic expectations about what a woman's body should look like, I found the concept intriguing. Now, think what you will about Amy Schumer, whether you like her, whether you don't like her. I just thought the concept was intriguing. Well, they were supposed to have a movie come out in 2018, then they bumped it to 2020, and then what often happens in the comic book movie world, the time elapsed and the rights to the Barbie movie went back to Mattel. And now Mattel has a new partner, Warner Brothers, and it looks like they may have their new Barbie. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Margot Robbie is in heavy talks right now to take over the role of Barbie. Now, this is a brand new studio. Again, the former one was going to be at Sony. This one's at Warner Brothers. So clearly this one will be a different kind of a story. And it looks like Margot Robbie. Also intriguing here is that the Hollywood Reporter goes on to say that the director they want for Barbie is Patty Jenkins, who's, of course, right now working on the Wonder Woman films. And she's incredible. She's a fabulous director. She would be great for something like this. So just to follow the drama here of Barbie a little bit, initially at Sony, and it was going to be Amy Schumer. Then they moved the release date 2020, and they changed the lead from Amy Schumer to Anne Hathaway, assuming that at that point they were going to change their story anyway. But now the movie is no longer at Sony. It's gone over to Warner Brothers, partnering with Mattel, and now it looks like we're going to get ourselves Margot Robbie. So a lot of transition and a lot of change. Look, I don't even know if this movie's ever going to happen, to be honest with you. If they do, it'll be intriguing to see what kind of approach they decide to take with it. And again, I got to say, like or dislike Amy Schumer, the concept of using a Barbie movie to address the issues that it was going to go after, I thought was intriguing, and I actually thought was kind of gutsy. What will they do now? Clearly, if you're going to get an Anne Hathaway or now a Margot Robbie, you're not attacking the idea of, an imperfect Barbie, because these women are perfect. So I don't know what they're going to do, but let's keep our eyes on it as we move forward. All right, let's move on to the next topic here. Venom, which we're going to talk a little bit about today in some degree. We're going to talk about box office and all that kind of stuff. But, I did my review, my spoiler review, and I clearly like the movie more than a lot of other critics do. Not all the critics hate it. About 1 out of every 3 critics like it. About 2 out of every 3 didn't like it. Fine, whatever. I enjoyed the movie. But one of the things that I mentioned in my reviews was that in both the screenings I went to, and everybody's screening will be different, but in both of the screenings that I went to, the audience at the end of the film broke out into some very enthusiastic applause at the end of each screening that I was at. And I mentioned that, and I've gotten a lot of you guys telling me you had the same experience. A lot of you guys saying you like the movie. Not a lot of people saying they love the movie, but a lot of people saying they actually enjoyed it, even though it had some pretty big flaws. Well, here's the interesting thing. The Cinemascore just came out for Venom. For those of you who don't know what Cinemascore is the only true audience rating system out there. Like IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes audience ratings, none of them are worth anything because anybody can click on anything and nobody can guarantee they've seen the movies, and there's way too many ways for it to be manipulated. Cinemascore actually has people at the movie theaters surveying audience members as they're coming out of the movies. It is the only true legitimate audience score out there. And anyway, the Cinemascore for Venom just came out, and Cinemascore has announced that it got a B+. Now listen, it's important to keep something in mind here. By Cinemascore standards, B+ isn't the greatest score in the world. It's not bad, but it's not the greatest score in the world. B+ by Cinemascore standards is pretty average. Maybe just slightly above average. There are certain great movies that have gotten B+. There are certain bad movies that have gotten B+. But generally speaking, a B+ on Cinemascore is okay. It's not bad. But it's interesting to highlight here that even with an okay, not bad score on Cinemascore is a radically different thing and different score than we're seeing coming out of, say, critics for Venom. Now, I think there's one big key thing here for the discrepancy between the audience's reaction or the majority of the audience's reaction to the movie and a lot of the critics' reaction. But remember, like I said, 1 out of every 3 critics, I'm one of them, seems to like Venom. But the thing is this. Even most people who saw Venom and liked it, like me, acknowledge it has some big problems. It is not a great movie. I mean, maybe you thought it was, and that's fine, but a lot of us who liked it didn't think it was a great movie. It has some big issues. It doesn't stand up to films like, even just this year. It doesn't stand up to a Black Panther, and it doesn't stand up to an Avengers Infinity War and all that kind of stuff. But I think the general audience, and I think most of us would agree with this, are a little bit more forgiving of certain what's the word I'm looking for? Of certain shortcomings in movies than maybe critics are. And really, when you look at it, when you read through the critic reviews and you read through the audience reviews, we're really not all that far apart. It's just that, we saw what we saw and we tended to like it. A lot of critics saw what they saw. They tended not to like it. But even the critics who didn't like it thought there were some pretty positive things in it. Even the audiences who do like Venom thought there were some pretty poor things in it. But I just thought it was interesting that a B+ Cinemascore, while not great, is still certainly different from like the 31 or 32% critic rating that it seems to be getting on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Every once in a while, we're going to get one of these films, right? But again, it's not so massively divisive. It's not like everybody out there is saying, including me, it's it's not like we're out here going, Venom is the best movie ever. And then there's a bunch of other people going, Venom is the worst movie ever. Nah, it's not like that. You got a bunch of people saying, had some things going for it, but it doesn't work. And then you have another bunch of people going, there's a bunch of things that are pretty bad in it, but overall we liked it. So we're really not all that far apart when it's all said and done. All right, with that stuff out of the way, let's move on to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? It's really quite simple. You select them by emailing me your topics and questions. How do you do it? You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep your emails to 90 words or less, and maybe you'll see your topic or question pop up here on the John Campea Show. All right, let's get moving with the first official email today. And the first official email today comes to us from Nicholas Nardini, who writes, Hey, John, I watched Venom. I told you we had more Venom to talk about. I watched Venom this weekend and actually liked it. Not perfect, but pretty fun. Anyway, did you see the movie made $80 million opening weekend? Isn't that like way more than they projected? What does this result mean for the franchise, and what does it mean for Spider-Man? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Nicholas. And yes, the weekend box office report is in. Now, they came out with some projections a couple of weeks ago. They're saying this thing could open up to like as high as 55 to like 65, maybe even $75 million. And a lot of people went, 70, including me. It's like, it's not going to get 75, but oh my God, if it could make 55 million, if this Venom movie could make 60 million opening weekend, more than half of what the production budget is on its opening weekend, Sony's going to consider this a win. Sony's going to consider this a big win. Well, the weekend box office numbers are in, and as Nicholas suggested already, the film made way above that. It made $80 million opening weekend. Now, A Star is Born, which is a fabulous movie, everybody. Save some time and go see A Star is Born. It's great. Anyway, Star is Born also exceeds its expectations, makes $41.25 million at the box office. Coming in third place, Smallfoot, makes $14.9. The Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish film, Night School, comes in at $12.2 million. And A House with a Clock in Its Walls, a movie that looked terrible to me, but honestly, I didn't mind all that much, ended up making, in its, I believe its third or fourth weekend, $7.295 million. So Venom comes in number one at the box office easily. But listen, the incredible thing about this weekend's results isn't just that it made way beyond what they were anticipating it would and what they were projecting it would. Coming in at $80 million is huge. It smashes. It doesn't just break. It smashes the all-time opening weekend box office movies for films that open in October. Take a look at this chart and look at the discrepancy here, okay? The difference between the number 5 and the number 2 all-time opening weekends in October, the difference between the number 5 film and the number 2 film is just $5.4 million. Jackass 3D made $50.3 million on its opening weekend. Paranormal Activity 3 made $52.5 million. The Martian, which is awesome, made $54.3 million. And Gravity, the former record holder, made $55.7. Again, the difference between number 2 and number 5 is only $5.4 million. And then comes along Venom, which destroys that record, making the difference between the new number 1 and number 2 like $25 million bucks. Nearly $25 million. The difference between number 2 and number 5, $5 million. The difference between number 2 and number 1, about $25 million. This is beyond shattering the record. All right? This is like well beyond shattering the record. This is incredibly impressive, the type of money it made. Now, what does this mean for Venom? And as Nicholas also brought up, what does this mean for Spider-Man? If you guys have been watching me for any period of time, you know what I believe this means for Spider-Man. For Spider-Man, I believe this means Spider-Man is going to stay in the MCU. I've believed this whole time that if Sony feels they can make superhero films and a superhero universe without Spider-Man in it and succeed, then they have no reason to want to pluck Spider-Man out of the MCU. They can continue making some money off Spider-Man with him in the MCU, and they can go ahead and make their Venomverse, if you will. At $80 million, Sony is very firmly believing right now they can make their universe and they don't need to have Spider-Man in it. Everybody was complaining, you can't do a Venom movie without Spider-Man. Guess what? They did. And they shattered the box office record for the month, and it turned out pretty damn good. Now, again, Venom ain't great. Venom ain't great. Maybe you thought it was great, and that's fine. I didn't think it was great, but I certainly thought it was entertaining. And I certainly thought the good outweighed the bad, and it worked far more than I thought it was going to make, and audiences seemed to be responding to it. And guess what? There ain't no hint of Spider-Man. The closest hint to Spider-Man, tiniest of spoilers, guys, means nothing. At one point, Eddie Brock, the movie takes place in San Francisco. At one point, Eddie Brock mentions that he was in New York, and now he's in San Francisco. That's as close to a Spider-Man reference as they got. That's as close to a Spider-Man reference as they needed. They did not need Spider-Man for a Venom movie to work. So, I mean, there you go. So it came in there, and even with negative... Now, look, it's unfortunate because if the reviews had been positive, I think you're looking at an $87 to a $91 million opening weekend. I think the opening weekend numbers would have been even bigger, but still... Even with some negative reviews, this thing makes $80 million. The audiences seem to like it, getting good response. Now the question is, what will word of mouth do for this movie heading into its second week? What will word of mouth do heading into its second week? Is this movie going to have good legs? Is positive word of mouth from fans? Is friends telling other friends, hey, this Venom movie's actually pretty good, you should go see it? Is that going to be enough to have Venom like drop only 50 to 55% at the box office? Because if it drops only 50 to 55%, that's not bad. And look, they've got some stiff competition coming up for Venom. this coming weekend. You got Bad Times at the El Royale that everybody's looking forward to. You got First Man with Claire Foy and Ryan Gosling opening up this weekend. And you got Goosebumps 2, a movie I am completely not looking forward to, but I know there's a bunch of people that are going to go see it. So, what will the word of mouth for Venom do for its legs going into a pretty heavy second weekend? Can it drop less than 55%? If it drops less than 55%, Sony is going to be doing dancing in the streets. I personally feel it's going to drop somewhere between 55 and 60, which is still not bad when you open with $80 million, but we're going to have to wait and see. Again, it's got some stiff competition coming up this weekend, including a presumptive Oscar favorite in First Man. So we're just going to have to see how all that works out. So, question for you guys is, were you one of those $80 million worth of people that saw the film? What did you think about Venom? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move on to the second email today. And the second email today comes to us from Trevor Colson, who writes, on Friday, the long extended version of the Aquaman trailer hit. I think it was over 5 minutes long. Wondering what you thought of it. I was already excited for Aquaman, but this trailer took it to another level. I'm also curious if you think longer trailers could become a new trend in Hollywood, seeing how much people like this one. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Trevor. And yes, on Friday after the John Campea show was done, this 5+ minute trailer for Aquaman gets released. Like 5+ minutes. And my Twitter just blew up. Everybody was tweeting me, John, react to the Aquaman trailer. John, react. Like everybody's freaking out about this trailer. Like seriously, my Twitter just blew up with people tweeting me about this Aquaman trailer. My reaction to it, it's awesome. It's terrific. It's just terrific. The action sequence, and I got a feeling we're just getting a peek at it, when Mantis shows up with his guys and they're chasing Mara and Arthur. She's running along the rooftops. That looks like it's going to be a James Wan kick-ass kind of action sequence. Looks awesome. I have always liked this incarnation of Aquaman ever since Batman, or ever since Justice League. I really like Jason Momoa's Aquaman. I like the character they've given him. I've always liked the Mara casting. You got Nicole Kidman in there. They gave a little bit of a glimpse of her kicking some ass as the Queen of Atlantis. That looked really great. It's just go a little bit more into the mythology of it all. You know, Atlantis being in the middle of the desert and all this kind of... Look, it was wonderful. It's a great trailer. However, two things that I worry a little bit. One of the things people are really freaking out about positively, and they were tweeting to me, is like, John, this is before I saw the trailer. Did you see they put Aquaman in his classic costume and everybody's so excited about it? I think it looks like ass. I think that looks awful. This is a great example, guys, of, hey, just because a superhero costume looks good on a comic book page does not necessarily mean you should do it in a live action movie. I think that looks terrible. But again, who cares? It's just a costume. A good costume is not going to make a bad movie good. A bad costume is not going to make a good movie bad, so I don't care. And it's probably, that shot is probably something like from the last scene of the movie or something. I don't care. But no, I don't like the costume. I don't like the costume, but whatever. The rest of the trailer was great. Here's, though, something that concerns me a little bit. And this is bigger than the Aquaman trailer itself, but it does raise the concern, all right? This trailer's over 5 minutes long, all right? It's over 5 minutes long. Now, I understand Aquaman is opening in this killer's row of movies opening up in that window between December 14th and December 21st. There's a lot of big films opening up, including a Mary Poppins, including a Mortal Engines, including a Bumblebee film, including. A lot of big films. They want to do something to stand out from the crowd. I get it. Totally understand it. And the trailer is great. However, in an era where we have an awful lot of film fans decrying how much stuff is given away in trailers these days, they're showing too much, they're showing too much, they're showing too much, and to some degree that's understandable. Are we really wanting to move or start to have the needle move to an era where, hey, the standard trailer is 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Hey, maybe now we'll make it 3 minutes. Hey, maybe we'll make it 4 minutes. Hey, maybe we'll follow the Aquaman's trailer lead and put out a 5-minute frickin' trailer, a 5-minute and 20-second trailer, then a 7-minute trailer, then a 10-minute trailer. I mean, it just, and here's what I worry about, right? This trailer is so great. It's not the best trailer of the year or anything like that, but it's a great trailer. My fear as a film fan right now is that all the other studios, including Warner Brothers themselves, are going to look like, wow, people really seem to like the 5-minute trailer. Let's us start doing 5-minute trailers. Yeah, and then we'll outdo the other. We'll make ours 6 minutes long. But I'm afraid that the amount of attention that this Aquaman trailer is getting and the fact that it's a very good trailer may start a trend towards longer and longer and longer online trailers. Because remember, it used to be a few years ago that the main home of movie trailers, where most people saw their movie trailers, was in the movie theaters, playing in front of movies, and you had to keep them to a certain length. But let's be honest now. The main place people see trailers now is online. And there ain't no time limit online. And I fear a little bit that this great thing, a great Aquaman trailer, could lead to a bad thing, a growing trend in studios making trailers longer and longer and longer when fans seem to be asking for studios to show less. It's like this. It's like you go to the club last night and you find yourself somebody and you have the best sex of your life last night. Woo! That sex, oh my God, I met her at the bar. She was amazing. And the sex we had was mind-blowing. It was so great. Why does my crotch itch? What's going on? I'm afraid that we could have a really good thing lead to a really bad thing. Great Aquaman trailer, but may start a trend of longer and longer and longer trailers. Great sex last night. Why does my crotch itch? I'm just a little nervous. I'm just a little nervous about something like that happening. And I don't know. Maybe some of you guys are looking at this trailer and thinking, you know what? Hell with it. I would like to see longer trailers. And maybe it would be a good thing. It's just in an era that it seems like a lot of us are asking for studios to show less. It seems like the wrong way to go. But hey, we'll find out pretty quick. We'll find out pretty quick if this becomes a trend. Because I've got a feeling, mark my words, guys, I have a feeling within the next month, we're going to see another studio put out an extended trailer of their film. And it's going to be a 4, 5, or 6 minute trailer. And then by Christmas, another studio will put out an extended trailer that's 4 or 5 or 6 minutes long. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm worrying about nothing. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's move on to the third email today. And the third email today comes to us from Mark Lewis, who writes, "Hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Mark. I recently saw a trailer for the movie The Upside with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston. When I saw Kevin Hart, my mind immediately jumped to comedy, but honestly, this movie looks like it'll be more serious. I was wondering if you had seen it or known it was coming, and if you had any initial thoughts. Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for the question, Mark. And yes, it's funny because it was either just 1 or 2 weeks ago. I mean, we've known that this movie, The Upside, was coming for a little while, but a couple of weeks ago, everybody knows I'm a fan of Kevin Hart. But somebody asked me if I was looking forward to seeing him do more dramatic stuff. And I said, honestly, not really. I mean, I'm open to seeing Kevin Hart in dramatic stuff, but let's face it, as big of a fan of Kevin Hart as I am, and I really enjoy watching his movies, he is always the same guy. I mean, whether it's the character in Central Intelligence or whether it's his character in, oh hell, name any one of his movies, he's the same guy. And that's fine because he's so funny just being him. He's entertaining. He's fun to watch. So no problem. I've personally never seen anything in his performances that have led me to believe that he could deliver legitimate dramatic acting chops. He's certainly been in a lot of movies, and he's certainly worked with a lot of directors. So you would think he would pick up something. I'm just saying that I've never really felt that I've recognized in him the ability to do anything dramatic, right? So, along comes this trailer for The Upside. And it's a good little trailer. It's a good little trailer. And I'm a little bit biased because here's the problem. What not a lot of people understand is that The Upside is a remake. It's a remake of one of my all-time favorite foreign films. You know, it's funny, if I listed off like my top 5 or 6 favorite foreign films, 2 of them are French. One is Amélie, which, oh my God, if you've never seen Amélie, I think it's a 2006 film. But anyway, if you haven't seen Amélie, watch Amélie. But the other one is this film called The Untouchables. Not The Untouchables, The Untouchables, which this is just a literally, it's a shot-for-shot remake of The Untouchables. The Untouchables won a lot of international awards. It is a brilliant film. And it's so funny because I'm watching this trailer for The Upside, and they literally are shot for shot, just like taking direct shots from the original film and doing it here. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's just really funny how much they are trying to stick very, very close to the original film. And I'm going to say this. Kevin Hart might be great in this film. And I am a Kevin Hart fan. And I will be cheering for him in this film. I was not buying into Kevin Hart in this trailer the way I bought into his French counterpart. And the actor's name is eluding me right now. But I was not buying into Kevin Hart anywhere near the way I bought into his French counterpart in the French version of the movie. Like, at all. All I saw was Kevin Hart trying to do something dramatic. And the dialogue was good. The lines were all there. Bryan Cranston was certainly doing it. I don't know. This might just be a little bit out of Kevin Hart's reach. We won't know for sure until we see the movie. I'm hoping we go into this movie and like Kevin Hart this movie will be a revelation to the true dramatic chops of Kevin Hart. I'm hoping that's what happens. Before seeing this trailer, I'm dubious. After seeing the trailer, I think there are still big question marks about whether he can do it or not. I wasn't sold on it. But then again, part of that just might be because I've got this image of Kevin Hart in my head. Maybe once I see the movie, that'll all clear up. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Certainly worth checking out trailer. But by all means, guys, if you ever get a chance, not only Amélie, do check out The Untouchables as well. Beautiful film. Just wonderfully done. It'll be interesting to see if this new version can do it any justice. All right, let's move on to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from Jake Spencer, who writes, "Hey, John, I'm really excited about Daredevil Season 3. You and me both, man. Hope you are too. My question is, which Daredevil suit do you like better? His red suit, which is the real costume, or the black suit? For me, it's the black suit because of the hallway fight. Big fan. Have an awesome day." Thanks so much, Jake. And of course, the new Daredevil trailer is out. Daredevil Season 3 is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. We have been counting down the months and weeks and now days until we get to Daredevil Season 3. Super stoked. And of course, one of the things that got a lot of people talking about the promos for Daredevil Season 3 is the fact that we see Matt going back to that Season 1 costume, which isn't even really a costume. It's just him in black with the mask on his face and all that kind of stuff, moving away from the more comic book accurate and very cool looking red suit that we got more accustomed to seeing him in Season 2 and, of course, in The Defenders. Which one do I like more? No question. I like the black suit more, man. Way more. Why? Is it because I don't like the red suit? Not at all. I think the red suit looks great. And I think the red suit obviously is more comic book accurate. But I don't care. If you guys watch me, I don't really care about comic book accurate. I care about what works for the story. And for me personally, when you look at Matt and the nature and the tone of the series and the nature of the character himself, the black outfit just feels far more real to the character. You know what I mean? Let's say you knew nothing about the Daredevil comic books and all you had was the Daredevil TV series. You never read a Daredevil comic. And you got to know Matt, and you got to know him as Daredevil, and you got the feel of the show. And then you were to say, hey, which of these two costumes do you think suits this character better? I think a lot of us would say the black suit. It suits and fits the character better. I think it suits and fits the nature of the show better. But that's just me. I don't think that Matt is still going to be in the black costume by the end of season 3. I think he'll be back in the Devil Red. I think he'll be back in it. And I think this is the way they're going to go. And that's fine. I have no objections. I don't dislike this costume. Not at all. But yeah, man, if you're going to put it to me and ask me which one do I like better, I just think the black suit goes much more consistently with the tone and nature of the show. And that's just how I feel. And I know a lot of you are probably screaming at me through your computer monitors right now, and I get it. But yeah, just going by the show, I prefer it. But do not misinterpret me. I'm not saying I dislike the Devil Red costume. Not at all. I think it's a great costume. I just think the one at the top here is far more accurate to the character himself. But that's just my opinion. What about you guys? Which one of these two costumes do you prefer in your Daredevil TV series? The Devil Red or the Matte Black? Matte Black. I just made that up. The Devil Red or the Matte Black. Which one do you prefer? Jump down to the comment section and let me know what you guys are thinking about that. Okay, with that stuff out of the way, we're going to save some time now and go over and take some of your live questions because a bunch of you guys have been sending in a bunch of live questions already. So let's jump over and see what you guys are talking about today. Starting off with Jaron Morris, who writes, so I knew someone was going to ask about this. UFC 229, yeah, that happened, but hey, we all knew it was going to happen, and I can't blame Khabib at all. What are your thoughts? Okay, so let me just get through this here quick. I know a lot of you guys don't care about sports or MMA, but let me address this quickly because so many of you guys have been tweeting me about it ever since the fights on Saturday night. First of all, the card was great. And how about that Tony Ferguson-Anthony Pettis fight? Oh my God, those guys were unloading bombs on each other. What a great fight. And you could tell they were smashing each other to bits and laughing and having, like they're getting their faces beaten and they were having the time of their life. They were having so much fun in there. It's what I love. That fight kind of embodies what I love about the UFC a lot. These two guys who have worlds of respect for each other in there, just pouring their hearts out, unloading on each other and smiling and laughing together throughout the whole, I loved it. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that fight. That fight was great. Oh my God, the Black Beast fight. Fighting Volkov, getting his ass handed to him, and then with 10 seconds left in the fight, Black Beast pulls out that right hand, man. Boom! Drops him. What a finish. And then he takes his pants off in the ring. My balls were hot. I mean, the dude... he's a walking soundbite, man. He's awesome. Anyway, it was a great card. And then, no surprise, I told you guys, Khabib was... I never understood. How does anybody think Conor McGregor has a chance against Khabib? I swear it was, and I even tweeted about it. I said, I just cannot wrap my head around how anybody thinks that Conor McGregor has any kind of a shot against Khabib. I mean, if he can keep it on the feet, he'll win, sure, but he's not going to be able to keep it on the feet against Khabib. Khabib is going to drag him underwater and smash him, and that's what he did. He even was a better striker than Conor McGregor in this fight. There was only one knockdown in this fight by strikes, and it wasn't Conor. It was Khabib landed that big overhand right on Conor's chin and dropped him like a sack of potatoes, and then made him squeal in the fourth round, "Ref, please stop, mercy," and he tapped out. Because Khabib was just too much. And you could tell even long before that, Conor's spirit was broken. You could tell halfway through the third, he was done. His heart was gone. His spirit was broken. He knew he was in there with a much better fighter. And that's no knock on Conor McGregor because Khabib is the baddest man on the planet. He is the baddest man on the planet. He is the thing of nightmares. Nobody can beat this guy pound for pound. Nobody. I mean, yeah, you throw him in the ring right now with Brock Lesnar at 270 pounds. Yes, Brock will beat him because he outweighs him by 120 pounds. But pound for pound, there's nobody on this planet as scary as Khabib. Khabib will beat you anywhere, and he'll do it his way, and that fight's going to go exactly the way he wants it to go. It doesn't matter how much you prepare. It doesn't matter how much you train. It doesn't matter how much you do these certain drills, whatever. It don't matter. Khabib is going to do to you whatever he wants to do to you. And that's what happened to Conor McGregor. And Conor McGregor looked like a double-A prospect nobody fighter in there. But everybody does against Khabib. Now, Then came the antics afterwards. Some guy from Conor McGregor's camp outside the ring yelled some kind of insult at Khabib about his father and about his country and about his religion, whatever. And that's disrespectful to Khabib. Khabib jumped the fence and went after the guy. We've seen worse, but he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it. And he's going to get suspended. And you know what? He should get suspended. And he's going to get suspended. So be it. What was worse than that is a couple of jackasses from Khabib's camp jumped into the ring and attacked Conor. Those guys should be in jail. And I was really glad to hear Dana White say those guys will never fight in the UFC again. And I can't even remember the names of the guys, but he says, yeah, they're on contract with us. They will never fight in the UFC again. And I was very glad to hear that. The reality, though, is this. This was all set up because Dana White, who I respect, and I'm a big fan of Dana White, but this was all put in place because Dana White refused to discipline Conor McGregor for taking a giant steel dolly, throwing it through a bus window, spraying shattered glass into people's faces, and hospitalizing a dude, making him having to pull out of his UFC fight. And Dana White and the UFC did nothing. They didn't fine Conor McGregor. They didn't suspend Conor McGregor. They did nothing. Nothing. Welcome back, Conor. Great to have you back. Never mind the fact that you nearly killed some people. That's fine. That's fine. Could have blinded the guy with that shattered glass, but hey, water under the bridge, Conor. Come on back. Because they refused to discipline Conor McGregor, what's the limit now? Now the UFC, if Khabib's going to get suspended, it's going to be by the Nevada Athletic Commission. It's not going to be by the UFC because the UFC can't do anything now because they're going to look like hypocrites if they do. So Khabib jumps out of the ring and goes after a guy who is like calling him out and shouting insults about his religion and his country and his parents. You can't suspend him for that if you're the UFC when you're not suspending Conor McGregor for throwing metal dollies through bus glass and hospitalizing people. So the UFC has put themselves in a really hard spot. It was a really ugly way for a fabulous card to end. So it's unfortunate. We'll see how long the Nevada Athletic Commission will suspend Khabib for. If they suspend him for a year, they're going to have to strip his belt, which nobody will care because everybody will know he's still the champ. And when he comes back, the very first thing he'll do is take back his belt, so it doesn't matter. But we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, so that's all I'm going to talk about for the UFC stuff. I had a lot of people ask me about it, so I had to get that out there. Okay, let's see. Dan Bondi writes, Venom kind of reminded me of Upgrade. Yeah, it did. Conceptually, the feel of the film to me was very different. But conceptually, yes, there are similarities between them. Venom kind of reminded me of Upgrade in certain moments. There were times where Venom reminded me of STEM. Yeah, very much. If anyone hasn't seen Upgrade, good movie. Yeah, I was late to the Upgrade party. I was late. I didn't see Upgrade until after a lot of other people saw it. And it was as good as everybody said it was. Really good, fun, lower budget, indie kind of action gritty film. Tons of fun with a really good sci-fi element to it as well. And it really kind of transitions from the first two acts of being a real gritty action film to really more of a sci-fi film. But anyway, I won't say anything more about it. Check it out when you get a chance. Ben Rayner writes, do you think that it's fair that every comic book movie is held up to the standard of Dark Knight and Logan and Winter Soldier and the Avengers? Shouldn't a movie be judged on its own merits? Well, I mean, yes and no, Ben. I mean, look, what we shouldn't do is go, oh, if this new comic book movie isn't as good as Logan, then it sucks. No. That's ridiculous. Logan, movies like Logan, The Dark Knight, The Avengers, in my opinion, the three greatest comic book movies of all time. Not necessarily in that order, but to me, the three greatest comic book movies of all time. What's stupid to do is take a comic book movie and go, is it as good as The Dark Knight? No? Oh, then that means it sucks. I mean, that's stupid. We shouldn't do that. But is it legitimate and fair to measure them against such films? Yeah, probably. It's fair. As long as we understand that they don't have to be as good as The Dark Knight, but it's fine to go, how does it compare to The Dark Knight? Understanding that The Dark Knight and movies like The Dark Knight and Logan and Avengers are the standard and the bar, how do these other comic book films compare? I think those are fair discussions to have. As long as we understand that they don't need to be as good as those movies to still be appreciated good movies. You can compare them to the great films in its genre and still just evaluate them on their own merits. Give them credit or detraction based on their own merits. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both and. I think you can, like when Infinity War comes out, I think it's totally fair to say, how does this measure up to the Avengers? To the first Avengers? How does it measure up to Civil War? That's totally fair to do. As long as at the end of the day, we're still judging it on its own merits. So again, Ben, I don't necessarily think it's an either or. I think it is a both and as long as we're looking at it properly. I think there's good discussion and good analysis and good fandom talk to have when you do both. Base it, just evaluate on its own merits and also talk about how does it compare to some of the great films in its genre. And so I think you can do both, and I think that can be beneficial. Devontae Brown writes, Walking Dead premiere thoughts. I never watched it. First episode was good. Will be a tragedy if the show gets great again and ratings keep dropping or never hit the double digits again. Yeah, I didn't watch it. Look, I have caught up. I am caught up on Walking Dead. And I will probably watch the season premiere at some point. But I'm not such a big Walking Dead fan that I'll be honest with you, it'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks before I watch the season premiere, to be honest with you. But from what I'm reading, I was just reading a review of it, and from what I'm reading, people seem to like the season premiere and seem to be liking the new direction that this season's going. We all know that Rick is going to either leave or die off this season, so that's the worst kept secret in the business right now, but it'll be interesting to see which way they go. But I haven't seen it yet. Curtis Lopez writes, it's never going to happen, but I'd love a Venom/Deadpool crossover. I think they would have great interactions. You know what? I disagree. Because they're too similar. I think, look, when you look at the great comedic pairings, it's not when you get two guys who are exactly the same. It's when you get two guys that are different and the dynamic of their difference really works. Whether you're looking at a Laurel and Hardy, Murtaugh and Riggs in the Lethal Weapon movies, things like Tango and Cash, if you want to go back to that. To me, Deadpool and Venom just may be a little bit too similar. So, I don't know. It depends on how you play it off. I mean, I guess one good example against my argument is Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber are two similar characters, and that works great, sure. But I think there are a lot of other examples of where having significant differences between the characters is what causes the spark. Odd Couple is the classic example of that, right? So, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they announce tomorrow a surprise movie is dropping tomorrow, Venom, Deadpool, of course I'll be there. But, yeah, probably not the movie I would make if I was the studio exec. Ben Hayusa writes, I was entertained by Venom, though I know it has flaws. That first act, the villain, but I like Riot. What made this work is the Eddie/Venom dynamic. I love it. Made me look forward to the sequel and wanting to see more of the two of them. I mean, and that's really the heart of it. And I mentioned this we did a live spoiler review discussion of Venom yesterday. And that's what I kept coming back to is, look, the heart of this movie is the symbiote and Eddie dynamic, and together they are Venom, right? It's the dynamic between the two entities that is the heartbeat of this movie. If that doesn't work, it doesn't matter what else they did in the movie, this movie doesn't work. If that does work, then it doesn't matter what else they fail at in the movie will work. And I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of audiences. Yeah, there were a lot of problems with Venom. That first act was a mess. The first act of the film's a mess. And I think that, I said this before, I'll say it again. I think that the movie lost a lot of people in the first act. And I think that's true for a lot of critics too. I think you lost them in the first act. And once you lose somebody in the audience, whether they're an average moviegoer or whether they're a film critic, once you lose somebody, it's hard to get them back with the second and third acts. And that's not the audience member's fault. That's the movie's fault. That first act was a mess. And the villain, they could have done much better with their villain, especially when they had a really solid actor like Riz Ahmed playing the role. They could have done much better. I liked Riot, but the Drake character could have been much better. Anyway, if you nail the Eddie Venom dynamic, it doesn't matter what else didn't work. For a lot of us, the movie would still work. And I think that's what we saw in it. And yeah, I want to see another Venom film. Not because of the action, although I did like the action. Not because of the incredibly deep narrative, because it didn't have incredibly deep narrative. Not because of anything else. I want to see another Venom movie just because I want to hang out with I want to hang out with Eddie and Venom again. I just want to see these two guys talk. I could watch a 2-hour movie of the two of them sitting in a restaurant in the body having a 2-hour conversation. I could sit through 2 hours of that. That's what I want to see another movie for. So I'm down for that, Ben. All right, next. KW Garrett 83 writes, Senator Ted Stevens once said that the internet is a series of tubes. I remember that. Thanks for sending the best damn movie-related show through those tubes for all of us. Oh, thank you so much, KW. I really appreciate that, man. And we've got some changes coming with the new studio and we moving things over. Hopefully, we'll all consider it a big upgrade. And it won't be a flaming mess. Who knows? I may blow this whole thing. But I'm hoping we're all going to find the changes a big upgrade and just enhance what we like about the show. So thanks so much for sharing that, KW. Aaron S. Eli writes, I think Bradley Cooper referenced his dad being a pecan farmer in A Star is Born. Clint Eastwood's The Mule has him unloading pecans. Interesting. And of course, Bradley Cooper is in The Mule with Clint Eastwood. I will admit I did not put those pieces of the puzzle together. I didn't see the connection, but maybe there is a little homage connection in there. I don't know. Have to wait and see, I suppose. By the way, how good was that Mule trailer? That Mule trailer was pretty damn good. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, let's see. It's Pookie who writes, after that extended Aquaman trailer, I am more hyped. You know what's funny? I even got people, like, I thought that first Aquaman trailer that we got in July was the best trailer at Comic-Con. I really like the Split trailer. I really like the Shazam trailer. I really like the Godzilla 2 trailer. Like them all, but to me, that Aquaman trailer was the best one. Not only have I been hearing from a lot of people saying that they loved this new Aquaman 5-minute trailer, I'm also hearing from a bunch of people saying, I didn't like the first Aquaman trailer, but I love this one. Which, of course, my reaction is, you didn't like the first Aquaman trailer? But who cares? That's not important. But yeah, so not only are a lot of people saying they like this trailer, I'm hearing from a bunch of people saying they didn't like the first Aquaman trailer, but this is the one that's got them on board. So I find that intriguing. Aaron S. Eli writes, moving past Venom, any thoughts on Goosebumps 2? Yeah, look, I thought the first one was terrible. I'm not impressed at all with the trailers for the second one. So I have like zero enthusiasm for this movie. None. No enthusiasm. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a fair shake. That doesn't mean I'm not going to, check my expectations at the door and just go in and evaluate the movie on its own merits. I'm just saying, because I really didn't like the first one at all, and I haven't liked the marketing of the trailers for this one, I personally have no expectations. Like, no enthusiasm, no expectations. So, hey, who knows? I've had other films that I've had no expectations for, and I came out loving them. So let's see what happens. Cody Carroll writes, is it fair when musicians cross over into the film world? Jared Leto, well, remember, Jared Leto was acting, but I think even before he was a musician, I think. Anyway, Jared Leto, Lady Gaga, and get nominated with potential to win an Oscar when other actors can't get nominated or win. In my opinion, the more the merrier. It's not about fair, Cody. It's not about fair. It's about who gave the best performance that year. Now, Jared Leto, again, he's been acting for a very, very long time. I mean, so it's like when he came out and won his Academy Award for Dallas Buyers Club, it's not like, oh, he just came out of this Jared Leto guy, came out of nowhere, right? It wasn't like that. Like, he was always been known as a very good actor for a very long time. Yes, he was also a musician. Lady Gaga, also, we will forget, she's actually been acting for years. She's been doing a lot of acting. And this was the perfect role for her. It was the perfect role for her. She's fantastic in it. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with the right role for her. Look, I don't think Eminem can act, but you put him in a role in 8 Mile, it's the perfect role for him. And he came across like a great actor in it. Now, whether or not Lady Gaga is a great actress, or whether this is just a circumstance of it was the perfect person put into the perfect role for them at the perfect time, who knows? All I know is that she is remarkable in the film. and she will most likely get an Academy Award nomination for it, and I am all for it because I believe she deserves it. But it's not about fair. It's about who gave the best performance that year. And it don't matter if it's Daniel Day-Lewis, and it don't matter if it's some kid acting in his first movie ever or with their first acting job ever. It doesn't matter. If they give one of the best performances, top 5, then they should get an Academy Award nomination. It's not about who's got the best resume. It's not about who's been around the longest. It's not about any of that. I mean, this Timothée Chalamet kid came out of nowhere with Call Me By Your Name, shocked the world, got an Academy Award nomination, and well-deserved. Now he's got that movie coming out with Steve Carell, Beautiful Boy, that looks like it could be even better, for heaven's sakes. But again, it's not about fair, Cody. What's fair is best should get nominated, period. And we can agree or disagree every year about whether the top 5 were the best, but that's got to be the standard. And other than that, I don't think it's a matter of fair. Cody follows up with thoughts on the George Lucas directorial debut, THX 1138. It's the surround sound logo. The guards are shown in the movie Fanboys, and the sounds in the film are teasers for what was to come in Star Wars. Yeah, so in 1971, George Lucas put out this movie, THX 1138, that starred Robert Duvall. It's good. It's not great. It's good. But what a lot of people forget is that it's based on George Lucas's student short film when he was at USC, at the University of Southern California. His short film, Electronic Labyrinth, THX 1138 4EB or something like that. But THX 1138 is in there. It's this short 10, 15-minute short film that was so experimental that this student, George Lucas, produced, and it just caught the cinematic world by storm. And I remember Steven Spielberg once gave this interview talking about George Lucas. And Steven Spielberg is telling this story about before he ever met George Lucas, because they became lifelong friends later on, but before he ever met George Lucas, and Spielberg was this shining star, upcoming star, right? Spielberg tells this story about, then one day, I see this little short film that everybody's talking about, this Electronic Labyrinth THX 1138, done by this kid named George Lucas. And everybody's talking about it, so I'm excited to see it, and I watch it, and I was so mad because I thought to myself, who is this George Lucas, and why is he so much better than me? I mean, it's a very humble and a very great line from Steven Spielberg. And you're right. I mean, when you watch THX 1138, audibly, the sounds are so eerily similar to what would later come in a Star Wars. Star Wars only exists because of THX 1138. Had George Lucas not rocked the world with that, of course he went on to do American Graffiti, and American Graffiti then opened the doors for Star Wars. But remember, there would have been no American Graffiti had he not kind of rocked the cinematic world with his THX 1138. Again, it's funny in hindsight because when they did the feature-length version of the film with Robert Duvall, I didn't actually think it was all that great. I mean, it's good, but I actually prefer the short film. Like, it's really a mind twist, and it's very experimental and super low budget, but you could see that this was the seeds of the guy who would create Star Wars later on. So if you guys get a chance, check it out. Actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure you can find the original short film on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can find the short film on YouTube, so go check it out if you get a chance. All right. Preston Walden writes, excited to see Bad Times at the El Royale on Thursday. Oh, you and me both, man. You and me both. I'm stoked about it. I'm hearing really good things about it. I think the trailers have been amazing. The fact that this is the first film that Drew Goddard has directed since A Cabin in the Woods is still blowing my mind. But it looks fantastic. Great cast. Great feel to it. I'm hearing good things. Let's see how it turns out. Chandrasekhara Saraswati, I'm sure I pronounce your name every time differently, dude. Hi, glad Sony has Spider-Man characters right. Writes, current Marvel Studios would never do a Venom or Carnage solo movie as their focus is only on their heroes. Well, the fact that their focus is on their heroes, indisputable, sure. But, to play devil's advocate for a second, let's not pretend that Venom was a movie about the bad guy. Venom was a hero in this movie. Venom went out to save the world in this movie. Yes, he's not like a traditional hero. He will kill people. He will eat people. He's hoping to come across a bad guy so he can eat them. So yeah, not your traditional good guy, but let's make no mistake about it. Venom is the hero of the Venom movie, right? Carnage is not going to get his own standalone film. Carnage will be a part of a Venom film where Venom will be the hero, Carnage will be the villain, and there you go. But again, while I agree with your statement in spirit, again, let's not fool ourselves into thinking that the Venom movie is a movie about the villain. It's not. Venom's the hero in it, and it's played out more traditionally that way, even though he's a little bit different of a hero than we're used to. I'm upset, writes, chances for a Dumb and Dumber 3. I don't think very high. You know what's funny? Everybody disliked Dumb and Dumber 2. Everybody disliked Dumb and Dumber 2. I really liked Dumb and Dumber 2. I thought Dumb and Dumber 2 was really funny. But a lot of people didn't like it. Dumb and Dumber 2 didn't do all that bad. I mean, it made $170 million at the box office on a $40 million budget. That probably made money. That probably made profit. But I don't know. I just think the response that the film got, what did it do? Hold a second. Dumb and Dumber 2 Rotten Tomatoes. I'm pretty sure the critic rating was pretty low on it. Yeah, 29%. So pretty low. And the audience didn't like it all that much either, which to me was, I thought it was very funny. I thought it was not as funny as the first Dumb and Dumber, but I thought it was very funny. So based on that, I don't think the chances are very good. Not impossible, but I don't think the chances are very good. Elijah Turner writes, with the success of Venom and the PG-13 rating, do you think Disney is now more interested in Spider-Verse characters? Do you see more deals to be? I don't know. Honestly, I really think the only Spider-Verse character that Kevin Feige is really all that interested in is Spider-Man himself. Now, I could be wrong about that. Plus, if you're Sony and you've got this, sweet deal with Marvel to let them have Spider-Man in the MCU, and you're wanting to develop your own comic book cinematic universe, you're not all that anxious to start giving up more characters to go over to the MCU. Now, as far as I understood, the original deal allows for the odd Spider-Man character to show up in the MCU, but it also allowed for some B or C level Marvel characters to maybe show up, not in a shared cinematic universe though. But clearly Venom never took advantage of that, so it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but the two things I see going against that notion right now are, number one, I don't think Kevin Feige's all that interested. They've got so many characters, it's stupid. To me, as much as I love the MCU, it's already overcrowded. And they've already got thousands of characters. And on top of that, we got the X-Men characters coming in pretty soon. Do they really need more characters? Nah. And if you're Sony and you just knocked it out of the park with Venom with this huge success, $80 million opening weekend, all this kind of stuff, you're probably not looking to give away more characters. You're now looking at building your own cinematic universe. Venom was a good start. Let's see where they go from there. So I'm going to guess no, but hey, man, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. Let's see here. Sorry, I had the big jump. Where are we? Here we go. HV39000 writes, is A Star Is Born considered a musical? I didn't think it was. I thought there was a difference between a musical and a movie that has music in it. I, for one, do not consider it a musical at all. To me, and again, there may be people who disagree with me on this, and that's perfectly fine. I could be totally wrong about this, but to me, a musical is a song in which the dialogue is sang. So, for instance, let's look at Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is a musical. Because at least a third of the time, the characters are singing their story. When Ewan McGregor goes up to sings, "You can tell everybody this is your song." Like when he's singing, that's their story. That's their dialogue. They're not standing on a stage performing a song. It's the dialogue. To me, that's what a musical is. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Like Mary Poppins, right? That's a musical. When the story and the dialogue is being done and conducted by way of a song and music, that to me is a musical. A Star is Born is not a musical to me. Yeah, it's a movie about musicians, and there's a number of scenes in the movie where they get on stage and perform a song for an audience, but that's not what a musical is. To me, a musical is when the narrative and the dialogue is conducted by way of songs and lyrics. Like a Mary Poppins, like a Moulin Rouge, like a Chicago, like, things like that. So to me, and again, others may disagree, and that's perfectly fine, but to me, A Star is Born is not a musical. Let's see here. Trail Shredder Juan Malagon writes, what a great name. Okay, so I saw Venom yesterday, and I enjoy it. I'm now sure the sequel is well on its way. Also, Campea, get the great work, brother. Your show rocks. Oh, thank you so much, Trail. And yeah, a lot of us, man, a lot of us are liking the film. I saw it the first time, and I was just like, that wasn't terrible. That wasn't terrible. And then I went again the next night to take my wife to go see it, because the first night I saw it with Ray. And the second night, Ann wanted to see it, or I wanted Ann to see it, to see what she thought of it. And she loved it. So I took her, and I liked it even a little bit more. Again, never thought it was great, but I had a good time. And isn't that what we go to the movies for, to have a good time? And there are stupid bad movies that do not give us a good time. This is a movie with big flaws, but it did deliver on the good time, in my opinion. So not all of us will agree, but yeah, I had a good time with it, man. And thank you, Trev. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. Static Space Sean writes, forgot to ask yesterday, not a spoiler, but was the dead astronaut at the beginning of Venom supposed to be J. Jonah Jameson's son? They said his name was Jameson. Interesting question. I'll have to watch the movie again. I didn't see the name on the tag. Or maybe I saw it and I just wasn't paying attention to it. But yes, in the comics, J. Jonah's son was supposed to be an astronaut and connected to the Venom story in certain incarnations. I didn't notice. I guess when I go back to see it for a third time, I'll have to pay attention to that, dude. Shattergate Studios just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Shattergate. Hardy Buck 4 writes, your comments on UFC 229 Carnage. The next fight will allow you to jump the cage and go into Berserker mode. Also, are you going to answer the leftover questions from last Tuesday at all? Well, actually, I did 2 companion videos this weekend. I didn't get all caught up, but I got through like 51 questions in companion videos this weekend. So those came out on Saturday. Go check those out. And I still got a couple more I need to do. But I believe the Tuesday one should be caught up on by now. Maybe we didn't get up to Tuesday, but I'm pretty sure we got caught up to Tuesday. Anyway, take a look at those companion videos. Check them out. I'm pretty sure you'll find those in there. But I still have more to come. More companion videos I need to get caught up on. Sorry, guys, it's been like crazy around here lately. Starting with the new gig, trying to get the new studio ready to go, still going to screenings, UFC 229. I mean, it's been pretty busy. Oh, and I'm married, and I have a little wife who just happens to want some of my time. Isn't that unreasonable of her? So I've been trying my best, but I will get caught up, I promise. Hardy Buck 4 writes, that was Hardy Buck 4, sorry. Jacob Silvers writes, I got my sister's boyfriend to watch John Wick last night, and Wednesday we're going to watch John Wick 2. I love the mirror room scene in John Wick 2. Yeah, I didn't think John Wick 2 was as good as the first John Wick. I don't think there are a lot of people who did, but it's still great. That's a great example of, yeah, it's fair to compare them, but still judge it on its own merits. John Wick 2 is not as good as John Wick, but that didn't stop it from still being a hell of a lot of fun and really good. There's some great stuff. There are some things they do better in John Wick 2 than they do in John Wick. I wasn't thrilled on the ending, but whatever. And then the pictures of John Wick 3 with John Wick with a gun riding on a horse through the city streets. Come on. That's just so good. I cannot wait for that. Let's see. Rushil P. writes, My girlfriend has a tendency to tell me what she thinks is about to happen in a movie. Oh dear. She did the same near the end of A Star is Born, and it totally took me out of it. Would something like this bother you? Yep. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I wanna come to your girlfriend's defense right now and say, dude, come on, man. She just have. No, that would be annoying. That would be annoying. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like every once in a while, Anne will lean over to me and go, I think that's the guy who did it at the beginning. And I'll go, ooh, that's an interesting idea. Like once in a while, maybe once every 2 movies or so. But I think if I was going to movies with somebody on a regular basis and they were constantly leaning over to me, telling me what they think's about to happen, I gotta say that would probably bother me. I would probably pull her aside and say, baby, first of all, why is my crotch itchy? But secondly, baby, I love you. Nobody else I'd rather see movies with than you. It's great sharing these experiences with you. But I gotta ask, honey, please, like, let's cut how much we talk to each other in the movie down a bit because it's a little distracting. But I love you because you're the best. It's what I would say. It's a tough, delicate situation that you're in, Rachel. You need to deal with this situation very delicately, but deal with it you must, because you don't want this thing to ruin your movies at all. Okay, let's see here. Paul Baranek writes, can't wait for Matt Reeves' Batman movie in 2030. Yeah, someday it's going to come. You know, it's funny. Look, I became incredibly pissed off at Warner Brothers when we found out. First of all, you dangled in front of me that we were going to get a Ben Affleck written and directed Batman movie. Oh my God. Perfect. And then you took it away. Fine. At least you got a guy of the caliber of Matt Reeves, who's great. And I am very much looking forward to what he's doing. But yeah, it is getting frustrating as a fan. His first draft of the script was supposed to be turned in ages ago. I think he just got around to getting his first draft in, all that kind of stuff. Really looking forward to seeing him. Really looking forward to seeing his movie. But like, while we all still sit around and wait for any information about a Batman film, all these announcements coming out, he's made this new deal with Netflix, and now he's going to make this new TV series and new film with Shonda Rhimes, and he's going to be doing this, and he's going to be doing that, and we're all just sitting around like, okay, that's nice. Where the hell's Batman? Like, you guys booted Ben Affleck and threw away his script, and so where's Batman? I don't know. I'm starting to get a little impatient, but I just keep telling myself, it's Matt Reeves, it'll be worth it. I just keep telling myself, it's Matt Reeves, it'll be worth it. And hey, at least we got this Aquaman movie coming in just a couple of months that we can get excited about. Let's see. Tony Tube writes, I want only one movie from Mattel, He-Man. Dude, a Masters of the Universe film, if done right, could be really special. It could also be an utter disaster. We know that they've taken shots at it. They've been trying to get this movie up and off the ground. I gotta believe at some point it's going to happen. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be anytime soon. Infomaniac sends in a super chat. Thank you, Infomaniac. Joshua Stevens writes, had an awesome weekend. Got to see Venom, A Star is Born, and oh, dude, nice triple feature. Good triple feature right there. I encourage everyone to see all 3. Guys, seriously. It's not going to be in theaters much longer. A simple favor. It's a wonderful film. Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively are fantastic in this movie. It's a fun, genre-bending thriller /comedy/drama/mystery. It's this weird film that does something I've never quite seen done before in that it interweaves between different genres. Go see it. Stars Born is magnificent. And Venom, I believe, is worth seeing. I think you're going to have fun watching Venom. Dude, solid triple feature of a weekend, man. Chad's Big Huge Geek Commentary writes, if Wonder Woman 1984 is just as, if not more successful than the first, I'd love to see Warner Brothers take Patty Jenkins and move her to Justice League 2. She's earned it. And I say, not because I don't think Patty Jenkins would do a wonderful job on Justice League 2. She's Patty Jenkins. But honestly and quite frankly, between you and me, I think they should give Patty Jenkins an Oscar caliber movie. I think if she knocks it out of the park yet again with Wonder Woman, I think you give her a prestige film. I honestly, I don't like seeing directors get too pigeonholed in one genre of film. Patty Jenkins, remember, she did that film Monster, got Oscar buzz, won Charlize Theron her Academy Award under her direction. I'd like to see Patty Jenkins, if Wonder Woman does great, hey, I'd be thrilled if she did Justice League 2, sure. But quite frankly, I would like to see Warner Brothers give her a big prestige film. Something that gives her a legit shot at getting an Oscar. You know, I'd really like to see her get away from the comic book genre for a bit and then maybe come back to the comic book genre. Look, that's what Christopher Nolan did. Christopher Nolan did Batman Begins, went off and did a different film. Came back and did The Dark Knight, then went away and did a different film. Then came back and then Dark Knight Rises and then went away and did a different film. I would love to see Warner Brothers reward Patty Jenkins if Wonder Woman does as well as the first one. I'd love to see them reward her by giving her a big prestige film. And then let her come back to DC after that. So that's what I would like to see happen. Shattergate Studios writes, I could have forgiven the MCU Spider-Man AI if it was voiced by a sarcastic Bruce Campbell. I could have forgiven the MCU Spider-Man AI. Oh, I like the Iron Man Jr. suit. I could have forgiven the MCU Spider-Man AI if it was voiced by a sarcastic Bruce Campbell. That would have been gold. Completely inconsistent with the Tony Stark character who designed it. But I'm not going to lie to you, Shattergate. Now I want a special Blu-ray of Spider-Man Homecoming where they replace the voice with a sarcastic Bruce Campbell. I want that movie now. You just ruined it for me because now that's all I'm going to want to hear. I don't get likes writes, my brother's mad at me for not wanting to see Venom with him, but I can't support something I never wanted. I'll check out A Star Is Born instead. Well, I mean, look, it's all up. Look, if it's not a movie that looks good to you and you don't think it's something you're going to enjoy, then don't go see it. It's just that simple, man. Look, going to movies is an investment of time and money. You only got so much time on this earth. You're investing time by going to see it. You only got so much money. You're investing money to go see it. If you do a little bit of research and you find, hey, this doesn't look like something I would enjoy, then you shouldn't be expected to go see it. Now, if you know a lot of people that seem to share your movie sensibilities and they're all telling you, dude, this is something you'll like, maybe you'll want to consider it. But look, bottom line is, movies is an investment of time and money. If it doesn't look like something you're going to enjoy, why would you waste your time and money? And you should not apologize for that, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. And going to see Star Is Born is no mistake, because it's a great movie. Adrian Frederick writes, will we ever see a Hamilton movie? Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure. We are 100% guaranteed there will be a Hamilton movie. No doubt. But right now, they're very successful. They've got this show on tour. They're doing all these things with the live shows. They don't want to disrupt that. But yeah, in the next couple of years, we'll definitely have a Hamilton movie, no doubt about it. By the way, I saw the Hamilton live show. Amazing. Totally lives up to the hype. Marie Seifring writes, have you seen the trailer for AMC's The Little Drummer Girl? Thoughts? No, I have not seen the trailer for The Little Drummer Girl, as a matter of fact. But now you have me intrigued because just the title sounds great. Now I'm going to look that up, Marie. So thank you for sharing that with me. I haven't seen it, but now I want to see it. Joshua Stevens writes, we've gotten a lot of good trailers this year for movies, but I don't think there will ever be a trailer that got me as hyped or as excited as Infinity War did. Probably my number one trailer of all time. It was good. I certainly liked the Infinity War trailer a lot. It's great. That shot of Captain America holding off Thanos' hand, loved it. I don't even think Infinity War is my favorite trailer of the past year. I think there are other trailers, but I mean, that's the beautiful thing about it, right? Trailers, just like movies themselves, are subjective. They could hit you a certain way that doesn't hit anybody else. Like, seriously, some of the greatest trailers I've ever seen were Transformers trailers. And those movies are ass. But the trailers were great and got me that even though I've hated the last couple of Transformers movies, I think this one's going to be awesome. That's how good those trailers were. But to me, the greatest trailer of all time is probably still the Phantom Menace trailer. As much as I don't like the movie, I mean, that trailer nearly made me cry. I remember like shaking and having tears welling up in my eyes watching a trailer for a new Star Wars movie. It's nuts. It's totally nuts. But I think we all got one of those trailers, man. And that one is the one for you. And I'm sure you're not alone, dude. I'm sure there's a lot of people that really love that trailer at the same level that you do. Cybergorn Star Trooper writes, what a great name. Over under 60%. Supergirl movie will be set in the 80s. Under. I'll take way under on that. I think they will go with a modern take on a Supergirl movie. I believe it'll be set in modern times. If you set the number at 20%, I might say over, but 60% is a real big number, man. Look, they tried doing a Supergirl movie before set in the 80s. Of course, it was the 80s. Didn't work out so well. I don't think they'll do that. I could be wrong, but I don't think they'll do that. Ricardo Ramirez writes, John, with Venom only making $80 million at the box office, is this the sign of comic book fatigue? I'm kidding with you, John. Okay, you had me going there for a second. With Venom only making $80 million, I was like, what? Yeah, crazy, man. I was not expecting to see that 80. I had got to the point that I believed it would break that $55 million mark. And I was saying, if it can hit $55 million opening weekend, Sony's going to be plenty happy. Plenty happy. I started to think, hey, maybe it could hit 65. Even I wasn't thinking 80. When I opened up Box Office Mojo the other day to check to see what the weekend result was, I was not expecting 80. Big number, and they have got to be thrilled, man. Got to be thrilled. Hector Martin Navarro writes, any UFC 229 fight and after fight hell thoughts? Well, obviously you wrote that in before I answered that already, so I've already given my thoughts on that, and it's like, yeah, man. Again, total shame that a card that was so good, with fights that were so good, ended so ugly. It is unfortunate that it happened, but whatever. It doesn't take away from the fact that I loved the card, and I'll watch it again. Kenyon Haynes writes, can Aquaman come close to Venom's opening? Yeah. I don't see why it couldn't. Look, the biggest challenge for the Aquaman opening is opening against so many other movies. You know, Bumblebee's going to be in its opening weekend. It's going to be the first weekend for Mary Poppins. You've got Mortal Engines in there. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will have just opened 7 days earlier. There's so much competition. That's going to be the big hindrance. Can it get to 80 or close to 80? It can. I don't know how likely it is because there's a lot of heavy competition. But I'm telling you what, if this movie, Aquaman opens to $65, $70 million, Warner Brothers has to be happy. I think we all need to be happy for it. I don't think it needs to open to like $100 million or anything like that. But if it can get close, I think they got to consider that a win. Let's see. Rod L. writes, I'm going to just fly through the last few guys. I've already gone way over time, so I'm just going to fly through the last few ones here. I actually like the first act of Venom, probably because Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock was my favorite part of the movie, even more than Venom himself. Well, dude, that's the subjectivity of film. You know, I liked the Venom movie, but I'll be honest with you, man, I had a hard time as an audience member getting through that first like 20 to 30 minutes. I had a hard time slogging through that. But just because it was hard for me to slog through it doesn't mean you didn't have to like it. And if it worked for you, great. And yeah, I did like the Eddie character. I just felt they should have been doing different things and moving at a different pace with him in that first 20 to 30 minutes. But hey, it's all subjective. Your opinion is no more and no less valid than mine, man. So I'm glad you liked that first act, dude. James Valdez writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, James. How was Brock able to break the door, freeing his friend, designed to keep Venom enclosed? Dude, I'm not going to address it much because you just gave away a spoiler. Although it's not a big spoiler, but you just gave away a spoiler. So I'm not going to address that at all. All I'm going to say is I was thinking the same thing. But I'm not going to go into the details because we've already spoiled a little bit for it. So I know you didn't do it on purpose, but there you go. Trail Shredder Juan Malagon writes, Venom versus Justice League. I'm sorry, Justice League. Look, I am an unapologetic, I'm not going to say I'm a supporter. I liked Justice League. I saw it 7 times in theaters. Might have been 8, but at least 7 times in theaters. I liked it. Which one did I like more? I'm not sure. Look, Venom and Justice League to me are kind of 2 films cut from the same cloth. A lot of things they did wrong in it, but a couple of very key things and important things that they did right that ultimately made it enjoyable for me. So I'd say they're both kind of cut from the same cloth. I'd be tough to say which one I like more than the other, though. Let's see. Kenyon Haynes writes, who gets the IMAX screen on December 21st? Whoever makes the deal with IMAX. I mean, that's all there is to it. And I have I'm sure the information is out there, but I honestly have no idea who gets the IMAX screen. I don't go to a lot of IMAX screens anyway, so I'm more of an AMC Prime guy and a Dolby Cinema at AMC. I'm more into those theaters than I am to the IMAX, but it's going to be whoever makes the deal with IMAX. Jahan Bagarar writes, did you prefer Man of Steel or Infinity War? Man of Steel. I prefer Man of Steel. They're both, to me, top 10 comic book movies of all time, so they're both great. But yeah, I'll give the slight edge to Man of Steel on that. I love Infinity War, though. Don't think I'm knocking Infinity War. I love Infinity War, but I like Man of Steel a little bit more. Lawrence writes, would you like to see a Static Shock live-action movie? Nope, never been interested in the character. I've talked about that before, unfortunately. But hey, I know a lot of you guys like him, and I hope for your sake it happens. But for me, I'm not really interested. Santez Hernandez writes, hey, John, my crotch itches. That's going to be the new hashtag I'm going to get at me. Marie writes, I see a meme forming. Yep, there you go. I should have kept my mouth shut. And the final question today comes to us from Artel Hilario Jr., who writes, do you think Avengers 4 will reference the Rapture? Not as crazy of a thought as it might sound like. I'm going to go no. I think they'll probably keep a lot of religious references out of the film. I think at any rate. I don't see them going in that direction. So anything's possible with Kevin Feige in the MCU, but I don't see them going in that direction. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Went a little bit over time, but I already got a bunch of questions I got to do for the for companion videos, so I wanted to get through all today's questions that I could, so I went a little bit long. Thanks so much for joining me here, guys. Don't forget, we'll be back again tomorrow morning with the John Campea Show once again. I'm sure there's already a few topics that Ray and the guys are lining up for us to talk about. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.